Hello, my name is Tom Kelman, and I'm thrilled to present to you the final output of my lecturer teaching fellowship at the University of California in Berkeley. Before I start, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to Michelle and Ryan, who put so much passion and energy into making this program an ongoing success. I also would like to acknowledge the invaluable support and advice I got from the fellow members of this year's LTF cohort. I hope we stay in touch. This video wouldn't be possible without all of my former students who kindly agreed to be interviewed for this project. They are the ones whose thoughtful answers to my questions you'll be hearing shortly. I also would like to thank my friend Chris Honko, who performed the tedious editing of this video. Chris is a talented musician and a Twitch star. Check him out on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Twitch using the links you see on your screen. Over the last 2.5 years, I've had the honor of teaching 11 capstone courses in the Master of Information and Data Science program here at Berkeley. In my role, I have had a unique privilege to facilitate over 40 brilliant student teams in building potentially world-changing products. The title of my original inquiry was Maximizing Real-World Impact of Student Data Science Projects. Data science is a field with tremendous untapped potential, both commercial applications and social impact. The purpose of my investigation was to explore ways in which instructional techniques, program structure, and administrative resources can improve the chances that student teams working on these ambitious projects would successfully continue pursuing those as ventures beyond the scope of their academic courses. 5 of the students I interviewed are currently collaborating with me on a venture called Joyride. As a team, we harness the power of artificial intelligence to craft highly personalized routes that are optimized for happiness, not efficiency. As part of our journey so far, we learned a lot from various programs on campus, including Citrus Foundry, Skydeck Hot Desk, Haas Business School STEP, Foreman Fund Fellowship at the Law School, and National Science Foundation's iCorps. Over 30 Berkeley students from around the world have contributed to this effort to date. To the best of my knowledge, we are the largest open source project to ever come out of the School of Information. You'll also hear from Chandler, whose capstone endeavor led him to launching the AI for Good program in collaboration with his employer, DataRobot. What started 2 years ago as a humble student project to help improve water access in Africa has expanded into a series of collaborations that utilize data science to assist nonprofits on 3 continents. Raymond is working on FakeNet AI, a platform that detects fake media to protect people from the dangers of misinformation. His team got accepted into the AMP Accelerator on campus while still enrolled in the capstone. Since then, they also became a part of Citrus Foundry. On top of that, Raymond just let me know they have been selected as a grand prize finalist for the Big Ideas contest. Craig and his capstone team created Sidewalker, a software platform that utilizes cloud machine learning to identify hazardous damage on public sidewalks. And now, without further ado, let's hear from the students. To get started, please tell us about your overall experience with Berkeley's Master of Information and Data Science program.
It's been a great experience.
The program was amazing. It pushed me really hard. It's certainly worth it in the end. I am much better for the experience.
It really helped prepare me for like a deeper career within machine learning. Enjoyed the coursework, enjoyed the professors and teams.
The assumption is you are capable of doing things, and that's why they give you such challenging problems. But yeah, overall, it's good. It's a very extremely good, well-formed program.
So being able to take classes online was very, very beneficial. And at the same time, I could go on campus and take part of the campus activities, such as recruiting events and joining student clubs.
So I suppose what attracted me to it was that it was local, it was online, but at the same time it was local. So things like immersion, I could definitely take full advantage of.
I have a PhD, so I sort of have a interesting relationship with education. I looked around for data science programs, so that kind of seemed to be the next big thing, and MIDS was the one I found.
That's one of the great things in MIDS, is that you meet excellent and talented people that you can do some great things with.
What were expectations for the capstone course?
During the 2 years or 3 years, 2.5 years, Everyone talks about the capstone.
I expected to work on a meaningful idea, work on a meaningful problem. I expected to be able to use all the stuff that I had learned in my previous semesters.
Please tell us about the capstone experience.
The capstone project in particular was really helpful. Now that just gave me more confidence and also more knowledge in that domain.
Very free form, very challenging, choose your own adventure, so to speak.
I mean, definitely the students, I think, are one of the best aspects of the course, in part because of the diversity. The age range, the skill range, the experiences, the technical side under the hood, we had working pretty well. The challenge was much more user interface. Is a lot of people coming into mids don't have those skills. So they're not web designers, they're data scientists. I think one of the biggest challenge for Capstone is this issue of public data.
I was fortunate to find a fairly rich, data source that was out there. I felt like some teams struggled to, find useful data to work with. So I'm wondering if that's an opportunity, right? Is to identify potential candidate organizations or data sources. Having data early, having a subject matter expert that was available to talk us through it could help us iterate on the use case and building something that was usable, as well as having a very capable team. We could all help each other in our strengths.
I thought Capstone was really good, but I would say I think I got really lucky with the team members.
Do you think it was helpful that you had your capstone teammates already pre-selected coming in?
Yeah, it did for me. I knew their work ethics, I knew their strengths.
How does the virtual nature of the program impact your progress or your teamwork?
The virtual nature, I don't think impacted it at all. I think it might even enhanced it. It's actually more advantageous, I would maybe even argue, to be able to do this remotely.
What you've got to hope is that you get a team that has a good mix of skills. And I think our project worked very well because we had that mix of skills. And certainly being remote is a challenge. I mean, not even in the same city or the same time zone, but it worked.
How was the capstone different from what you originally anticipated?
I had a very good experience, especially with this capstone. It met all my expectations.
I was surprised that the mentorship and the advice I got from you, Dr. Charleshini, as well as my classmates, how much it improved our project. One thing that I wished was for students actually to get together more and continue their projects after the capstone. It's sort of disappointing to me because in my capstone, every single project had the potential. It had a tremendous potential.
There is no follow-up once you get like your capstone done. Basically patch together something, it works, and then nobody basically is looking at it after that, right? And some of them are really good ideas. Like,
what could the school have done differently to potentially improve your experience?
One of the hardest things about entrepreneurship is coming up with a great idea that people would actually buy or that will actually make some change in the world. People are so focused on, what's this cool technology I can play with? If there were some way to incubate great ideas.
Maybe some exercises on competitive analysis and business modeling might have been, or creating a business model might have been helpful as well.
I guess one thing I felt like might have been better is sort of what to expect going in. I mean, you talk to people who had done it before, but I sort of wish I'd put more thought into kind of my idea for a project.
Two critical things on that is the project itself, the idea, the feasibility of it, and then your teammates. The extra time prior to kind of really have that time for a lot of ideas to percolate. Prior to the, when we had to pitch it in class, kind of some of the suggestions that you gave in class 1 in terms of the pitch, see an example of what a good pitch looks like, maybe a 15-minute or 10-minute video on like what to expect, how to prepare. It'll help you prepare you for that first day of class,
My suggestion would be, yes, like students should be able to like do whatever they want, and also they should have like a list of like ongoing list of projects that you should just join, like the same way that Joyride is doing, but not just one, like a couple of them where they can basically join and push the wagon ahead.
Please tell us about the project you worked on during a capstone.
It was a project which aimed to give people a better trip experience. So it recognized that people, when they go on trips or vacation, they don't necessarily want to go there the fastest way, but they want to go there with have a good time while on their journey.
Interestingly enough, I guess in our class, everyone proposed an idea, and then you, our instructor, proposed one kind of, if the class chose it, we would go for it. Yours was a very realistic idea of sort of, making an app that would help you go on a road trip. And so we ended up choosing that.
I had read about the dangers of deepfakes and how the technology is becoming more powerful. And I realized that this type of technology could cause significant harm. I'm working on FakeNet AI to address that gap.
What propelled you to continue working on your project upon getting your degree?
In the space of innovation today, people who see needs which everyone is not thinking about are the ones who actually create something that the public can use. I mean, for me, there was no doubt that given an opportunity, I would continue. I really was interested in it. And also, I saw the tremendous way it could revolutionize the way people travel.
Start here, like if I'm getting a chance, like to actually make something out of it, I should be doing it, and that's why I joined Joyride. And also, I actually thought that yeah, it is a good idea. It is a problem. It is literally something which I face every week or every weekend.
You say it happened because you asked if anyone was interested in continuing. We had done like a demo, a first thing, but there was a lot more that could be done.
You came to us after we were done and said, hey, would you be interested in kind of working on this more? And once David was in, I was like, yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I'd like to see where we could take this.
I continued working on it because I wanted to, my team wanted to still, and also I had the means to really scale what we're doing with my work platform. So in MIDS, obviously the solution we built was hand coded, but we could, take things a little bit closer to repeatable production grade solution with DataRobot, and I wanted to continue with that.
Tell us about your experience working on this venture upon graduation.
I was quite thrilled at the opportunities you presented, as well as those that Alberto presented, and just the idea to go on working on actual creation of businesses. I know one is in my future since I'm working on it right now, the Joyride project, which I'm very excited about, and I think it will change things. It's a thrilling project to be working on.
Most interesting part is kind of seeing what other teams have done, because I guess I take it you've kind of done the same idea for the other classes you've taught. Seeing what they bring to the table, like they've looked at the problem in completely different ways than we did. I think it's kind of hard to have that leader to say like, hey guys, let's work on this. Like I'm kind of going to be like this the focal point and just kind of keep everyone together. And so I mean, I think between you and David, you guys have done a really good job of sort of continuing the momentum of this.
You and Alberto did a good job of kind of pushing us to think big during the process of this. And, out of this project, we've launched the entire AI for Good program at DataRobot. And so now we have, 6 awardees in various different verticals, from healthcare to education, on 3 different continents right now. That we're supporting, and that's really exciting. And it's just going to continue to grow. So that was, that could be traced back, to the beginning work we did here. Kind of what we built in MIDS, and really even with the first version of them as a customer, was sort of a 1.0, like with the model. And since then, the Global Water Challenge we visited Africa I personally did twice with DataRobot, once in Sierra Leone and once in Liberia, to kind of deliver training with users and got their feedback. They're looking to build a more kind of robust solution that is being used in more countries. So there are deployments being planned with 5 or 6 other countries right now. Based on the work we did at DataRobot with the Global Water Challenge, which was built on the big extensions of the project we did here, we've launched a formal, AI for Good program. So we opened up applications back in June. Got applications from, I think, like 20 some different countries or so, and we've down selected to ones that were kind of good fits for us and for each other, and we treat them as customers. And it's in the spirit of what we did with the Global Water Challenge, right? So working with a nonprofit to understand how they can apply machine learning and to solve real world problems and build solutions, importantly, that they can maintain. With Kiva, which is a kind of a crowdsourcing platform for loans in the developing world, we're working with them to identify loans that are going to go unfunded. So that's something in process right now. We're working with the organization Donors Choose to help improve teacher retention and improve the amount of supplies they get to students in classrooms. Working with UCSF Medical Center there in San Francisco in their spinal cord injury and surgery department to improve outcomes for patients going into spinal cord surgery with machine learning based on operating room data as well as post-op care data. And locally here in DC with the Anacostia Riverkeeper, another water project, we're predicting E. coli levels for safe swimming, which has a lot of extensions globally.
Did you feel that any of the programs at Berkeley were helpful in this endeavor?
One that you guys mentioned, you and Alberto mentioned in our office hours, it was the IPERA. We found that what we put together could be considered inventive, which means that it could be patentable.
To me personally, yes. Attending the STEP program has taught me a lot about, like app development.
Joyride was a part of Citrus, which was great for the team. And also Skydeck, which is again extremely great for the team. He got like a lot of AWS credits, which were from the Citrus Foundation, which is like more than someone could ask for, which is just like amazing.
Near the end of the capstone project, I realized that there were on-campus opportunities, on-campus accelerators, and so I went ahead and applied, and I pitched to the Berkeley Impact Venture Partners AMP Accelerator team, and funded me with $5,000 to further build out my idea. That really drove me to push this idea forward. I was ready to sort of to stop working on this project, but once I met members of the Berkeley Impact Venture Partners Accelerator, I was inspired by all the things that other people in that accelerator have done, and they pushed me to continue. I did get a 10K from the Big Ideas contest, and so that's allowed me to continue working on this. Being a part of the wider Berkeley community, not just the iSchool students, but MBA students and law students, interacting with them really helped me. I was really excited the first orientation, Citrus Foundry orientation. I did run into a fellow MIDS student, Silas as well, who founded Red Vest. So it was good to see a familiar face on campus. Good to see another MIDS person on campus. You don't see them too often. But shortly after that first orientation, the shelter-in-place orders were initiated. Haven't been able to take advantage of the Citrus ecosystem as much since then, but they have provided some valuable resources for me, such as free incorporation from Wilmer Hale. They also provided me with 100K in Amazon Web Services credits. It's been super beneficial to us.
Did being near or far away from campus make a difference for you?
If I hadn't been in the Bay Area, I don't know to what extent I would have continued. I think particularly the Foundry was key in terms of, beginning to answer the question of where can this go? How do you turn something that's just a group project into something that is first an MVP and then beyond an MVP? And, the things that the Foundry then led to, I thought were all useful. It's the Form and Fund, the ICORP, the things that they give you at Berkeley. But again, kind of to get that value, you've got to be at Berkeley.
Now's an interesting time with COVID where everything's online. It's harder to take advantage of the opportunities. It's harder to connect with the accelerators without being on campus.
What other resources do you wish you had access to, either during MIDS or afterwards?
And say, I don't really know all the resources that Berkeley has. And so maybe that might be something where, as that the iSchool could facilitate, if there's a way to recognize what projects has potential on how to connect them with, the experts that could help.
Based on your experience, why do you think it is so rare for capstone projects to continue upon graduation?
About this, I thought there were three things. The first is location. The way everybody is scattered. Not only are they scattered, but having been scattered, it's not like MIMS where you have physically been at Berkeley for say 2 years or something, doing a graduate program, and then you're dispersed. In this case, you've always been dispersed. So that's one issue. The second would be actually what they are. These are people who quite often see, I think, MIDS as a stepping stone in their career. They already have a career. This is sort of an advancement of career. Some of them just want the degree. Some of them want a specific skill set. They're not looking to do a startup, be an entrepreneur. I think the third thing is more to do with capstone itself. We have to come up with a project that is sort of a test of your skills in 12 weeks. It's never designed to be commercial.
I mean, there's a lot of risk there. So that's another thing to think about, the risk of some brand new adventure in entrepreneurship.
Just probably by happenstance, or maybe just, no ideas exist in a vacuum. There's a lot of projects that seem sort of similar. If you took the best people from all the projects that are kind of similar and continued them, I think that would work. People I worked with in the program who were very kind of gung-ho alpha leaders, that if I knew they were going to continue something, I probably would have been happy to work with them. And maybe they would have felt the same way if they had some technical people. They would have been happy to continue. And you just don't know, I guess.
Yeah, so I guess it's all about making connections between different teams, different people across semesters, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even just people from previous semesters like that. I know. I mean, probably people would have no idea to ask me about questions if you hadn't told them to. So I guess one thing that'd be kind of interesting is I felt like, at least in our class, and I don't remember what they were exactly, but some of these ideas I felt like were sort of impossible, and it felt like if there'd been more of a focus on kind of like things that were attainable, like if you felt like your idea was achievable, you might be more interested in doing it. And I felt like Joyride was also interesting because, I don't think there was a single person I talked to who didn't understand what we were trying to do. We want to be able to tell you if you're going to drive from Dallas to Atlanta, here's some of the stuff you could see on the way. That makes sense to everybody.
What would you like to tell the new graduates intent on continuing with their capstone projects that could help them?
You need to find a project that everybody kind of has some kind of interest in.
If you really were interested in the project and if you really believe in the project, you should make it a reality.
If you have, if you got something you're passionate about, pursue it. At the end of the day, you want to be working on something that means something to you. So if you care about it, just stick with it and stick with your team. And if it happens to be in support of nonprofits or that space, a lot of them are certainly looking for help. Having exposure to many of them now, I would say that they're competing for the same data science resources that commercial companies are. So many of them would be interested in having you work with them.
I guess, probably the people are the most important thing, and just having a nice mix of people in terms of skill set. You want people that bring different perspectives to the team, and people that can work well together as a team.
Seek out as many accelerators as you can. If you could do it while you're a student, even better. I would recommend doing that, say, in the middle of your capstone project, if you can. Try to take part in different Berkeley events so that you could feel more part of the community, and then that way you could meet more people, and that could help you along the way.
I would try to emphasize the knowledge and skills that we've gained in the program. It offers a huge opportunity to change the world and change business as we know it, to change the way things work. There's a brand new opportunity out there that you're not even thinking about because it's your opportunity. It's the one you create.
In your opinion, what can the high school specifically, or the university in general, do better to facilitate these transitions?
The encouragement has been there to some extent throughout the program. But, I think there are a lot of us who just ended up at the end of the program not having applied enough brain cells to thinking about how we could change the world. I wish I'd spent a little more time thinking about that from early on. If there were a course on entrepreneurship, just a whole course early on in the program, that might be the right solution. Have a required course, one of the first 3 courses perhaps, on entrepreneurship. If each of the final projects could have picked up from there and said, all right, take that to the next level. If people start off in the beginning of the program thinking about, oh, I could apply for this job and for that job, that's a completely different focus than I'm going to create something. This course on entrepreneurship early on could turn the focus a bit away from, oh, just apply to some other company that already exists. If every student could have instructors that would push them on to or encourage them to actually do something beyond graduation, I think that would really help. If everyone had the same experience as I have, there would be more people starting more companies.
In general, I think it'd be great if Berkeley could include more remote options for their events. There could be perhaps more resources on how to start your own company, how to take advantage of the accelerators on campus, how to get more involved, even if you're far away. I think it'd be great if the iSchool engaged with these accelerators and asked them how can they involve remote students in their programs.
Provide sort of a platform for students. I mean, it's already got a lot of great platforms for students to connect after graduation, but one specifically, or even more specifically for capstone projects.
If there is a structure like that, right? If someone is, number one, someone is driving that. Number two, there is someone who is responsible enough to bring the people together, have like a plan around them, structure themselves to have like a common goal, if there is that plan and if Berkeley imposes that structure upon the students, I think there would be more projects.
There's risk, and it's not guaranteed. There's no guaranteed reward. You're not getting compensated. It may be a lot of effort to take it further. Maybe if there's a pathway, a more defined pathway of like achievable milestones, if there was a kind of like maybe an informal, kind of like a mentorship guidance type of thing where one has to check into. Maybe the high school says, I will, we think your project has some potential. We're interested in where you get to this next step. Here's our opinion what your milestones should be. Maybe say and put a timeline on that. If the milestones are met, and especially if they show some value in terms of there's like a pathway to sustainability. Maybe a support network, so put a little more structure on it. Probably like something like a seminar on, how to make it to a nonprofit. What does it take to make a nonprofit work? A little bit overlap there is with open source. I took some inspiration from when you told me about the Joyride and how you have a big proponent of that.
I think 2 things. One is some of the projects should be supplied by industry, right? It's where some of the firms that are related to Berkeley say, okay, we'll give you access. Here's a problem we've got. Do something about it. I mean, you could say like Airbnb could do that. So then I think people would feel like they're working on something specific. If they come out with something like really good, then potentially they could get hired by Airbnb. Or Airbnb would let, we love your little team, we'll go fund it. I think the other idea is what you've been doing, which is you take the same problem and continue it across courses. I always feel like some of these things get, there's only 12 weeks, so you get somewhere, but you don't get far enough to really get traction. I mean, there was one, I think, that in our group, they did a thing related to cataracts or glaucoma or something in your eyes. They actually got a fair ways. So how about the next cohort takes what they've done, and their job is just to build on what's been done already, as opposed to always starting from scratch. If you think about the capstone projects, particularly the ones that have actually either gone to the showcase or actually won the prize, it's not a better project necessarily because of the team. It may also just be a better problem. And then the final thought, which I just had, which I was talking about immersion, is that if somehow you could put immersion right before the final capstone, then part of immersion could be you with a group of people sitting around a table coming up with a project, which I think would work a lot better. Chances are, if you're going to continue, it's probably because it was your idea in the first place.
I wonder if there's an opportunity to partner with organizations that may have data available that they'd be willing to make public. I wonder if there's a chance to, and I don't understand the legal complications, right? But I wonder if there's a chance to help point them to data sets that aren't totally used. Going to Kaggle probably isn't the right place if you're trying to be building a product. I think the school has a huge network, and if you can help bring problems to the students, that may assist some. Solving real world problems is good, right? And I think that is something that the program can't do enough of, right? Like being able to take a vague business problem and deconstruct it to a series of useful machine learning problems, and then building something that actually someone cares about. I mean, I've seen a lot of people building useless models in the private sector, and so this is good for students to think through of what is someone going to use, what's useful, and how do I solve that with data science?
Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Berkeley, definitely the project, the capstone and everything has been a great experience. For me, it's great because I could actually work on things which even after the project, which is I feel is just amazing.
Looking back, one of the reasons why we had such a successful time with the capstone is that we had a great advisor in you, and also we had a talented team.
Joyride has been one of the projects that has had life multiple times. Is it safe for me to say that you're the centerpiece of this, right? And if there's any other projects that are continuing there, I think you kind of represent the champion of it. I think that is also probably a key thing that I think is probably needed of any project to survive or to thrive.
I'm looking forward to working with my fellow faculty and administration at the School of Information to follow up on what we've learned. I hope together we can improve the effectiveness of the MITS program to make sure that our students have all the tools that they need to launch many more of their capstone projects into the real world and make the maximum impact possible. Together, we can change the world. Thank you for listening.